This video and the resulting analysis are based largely on the work of Dr. Maurice Bucaille. Maurice Bucaille was a French doctor who died in 1998 and who performed autopsy on many pharaohs, and he has written some books on this topic. Pharaoh is a recurring character in the Quran. He is mentioned as an enemy of the prophet Moses, but also as an enemy of God. And he also dares to claim to be a god. First of all, it should be remembered that Moses, Nabi Musa alayhi salam, is the most mentioned prophet in the Quran. So Pharaoh is also mentioned many times. Everyone knows the story of Moses and his fight against Pharaoh. It is important to point out that the story of Moses in the Bible and in the Quran are not contradictory. The main difference is that the Bible gives some details that help us to place Moses' life on a timeline, by specifying which Egyptian city was under construction at that time, and understand which pharaoh it is about. The Quran does not give any information regarding the age of Moses at various stages of his prophethood. But the Bible says he was 80 years old when he invited Pharaoh to submit to God and asked him to stop oppressing his people. And Moses said, "O Pharaoh, I am truly a messenger from the Lord of all worlds, obliged to say nothing about Allah except the truth. Indeed, I have come to you with clear proof from your Lord. So let the children of Israel go with me." The fact that he was 80 years old suggests that it is not the same Pharaoh who reigned when his relatives have adopted Moses when he was a newborn, and the one who pursued the Hebrews with his soldiers during the final confrontation, and died by drowning. If we want to retrace the story of Moses, he was born and lived in a time when his people were enslaved and oppressed by Pharaoh. Time when the construction of Ramses has just begun, and the Hebrews are the main workforce. The Quran also tells us that Pharaoh killed the sons and let live the daughters of the Hebrew people. It is repeated several times in the Quran, which suggests that Pharaoh regularly killed the sons of the Hebrews. It was already a fact before the birth of Moses, but it is not yet the death of all newborns, as we will see later. So, God inspired this to the mother of Moses, just after his birth. And we inspired to the mother of Moses, "Suckle him, but when you fear for him, cast him into the river, and do not fear and do not grieve. Indeed, we will return him to you, and will make him one of the messengers." And the family of Pharaoh picked him up out of the river, so that he will become to them an enemy and a cause of grief. Indeed, Pharaoh and Haman and their soldiers were deliberate sinners. And the wife of Pharaoh said, "He will be a comfort of the eye for me and for you. Do not kill him, perhaps he may benefit us, or we may adopt him as a son," and they perceived not. Moses lived like a relative of Pharaoh. He lived like an Egyptian and probably practiced their religion. It was as an adult that Moses went into exile in the land of Madian, following an argument that had caused the death of an Egyptian man. No text specifies the age he was at that time. It was during the exile that God spoke to Moses, told him to return to his people in Egypt, and entrusted him with his prophetic mission. And then will come the moment when Moses asked Pharaoh to let him leave Egypt with his people. And after that, Moses will be opposed to the magicians of Pharaoh, and with the help of God he will cancel the artifice of the magicians. And they will bow down and deny Pharaoh. And the eminent among the people of Pharaoh said, will you leave Moses and his people to cause corruption in the land, and abandon you and your gods? Pharaoh said, we will kill their sons and keep their women alive. And indeed, we are subjugators over them. Now we will see the historical evidence that confirms the death of the newborn males by the soldiers of Pharaoh. This is a granite stele engraved in the year 5 of the reign of Merneptah. It means around 1218 BC. This stone is called the Merneptah stele, also called the Victory stele. It is the only Egyptian text on which we can see the name of Israel mentioned, and we can read on it: Israel is laid waste, and his seed is not, which is a pretty poetic way to talk about the murder of male children. Following this, many disasters will be inflicted to Egypt in order to convince the Pharaoh to allow the Israelites to depart from slavery. So we plagued them with floods, locusts, lice, frogs and blood, all as clear signs. But they persisted in arrogance and were wicked people. When tormented, they pleaded, O Moses, pray to your Lord on our behalf, by virtue of the covenant he made with you. If you help remove this torment from us, we will certainly believe in you and let the children of Israel go with you. But when we remove the punishment from them until a term which they were to reach, then at once they broke their word. And after that there will be the escape of the Hebrews who will cross the sea, and where Pharaoh and his soldiers will be destroyed. The Quran does not specify if it is the Red Sea, as the Bible says. It is also specified that it is a place where reeds grow. So it seems that Moses and his people crossed the water by passing a canal that connected the Gulf of Suez to the Bitter Lakes. Here is a part of the conclusion taken from the book Moses and Pharaoh by Maurice Bucaille. The most likely hypothesis is that the Hebrews crossed the arm of the Red Sea, which at that time connected the Bitter Lakes and the Gulf of Suez. It is at this place that grew rushes or reeds that are mentioned in the Bible. And contrary to the Bible, which affirms that the body of Pharaoh will be engulfed in the sea, the Quran states that he will be found the same day. Today we will preserve your corpse, so that you may become an example for those who come after you, and surely most people are heedless of our examples. So, about the autopsy of the Merneptah body, it appears that he died violently. He showed several signs of bone fractures in various parts of the body. It should be noted that the presence of salt on the body is not a proof, because salt was used for the embalming of mummies. So, it seems Moses was born when Seti I was in power, and he was adopted by his relatives. Then, it was during the reign of Ramesses that most of his life took place. Ramesses died during the exile of Moses, and when Moses returned from exile, his son Merneptah has become Pharaoh, and it is him who will be drowned, poor seeing Moses. But God knows best, Allah Alim.